The only Western medicine that works, and this is backed up by studies, and is emergency medicine. None of the other Western medicine works. None of it works. If you actually look at the evidence to show Western medicine works, there's only evidence to show 15% of Western medicine works. From a study, this was a letter in the BMJ years ago. I think 15% of medicine, there's good evidence to show it works. 8% of medicine, there's actually evidence to show it does harm. And the rest of it, there's no evidence either way. All of surgery, there's no evidence to show it works. Yeah. And basically, because you can't do the studies, there's evidence to show it works.
Don't chop that person, but do chop that person. Yeah.
There's not the evidence that they certainly use to discredit alternative medicine. There's certainly nowhere near that level of evidence to show it works. And when they do studies into, for instance, surgery, where they can do studies, often very surprising, they show that placebo surgery is as efficacious as surgery. And so the emperor has no clothes, as far as I'm concerned. However, emergency medicine, I'm an emergency doctor. Yeah, still am. Want to go back into it one day. I'm not going to argue with anyone who wants to say that emergency medicine works. It does work, in my opinion. But when doctors go on strike, mortality drops every single time.
Interesting.
It always drops. And that's because almost all of Western medicine, like the non-emergency stuff, doesn't work.
My husband and I always say that we're grateful that it exists for car accidents and even broken bones and things. It's like great to be able to go somewhere and have that treatment. But for chronic stuff, all the things we're seeing, and that's really the stuff we get, is a lot of people that have been through Western medicine and they're so disillusioned. They've been basically, and it's things like autoimmune conditions, cancers, genetic stuff, these kind of long-term chronic things that we don't have a system or a model in Western medicine that addresses it. And I've heard you speak to this, the sort of mind, body, spirit aspects, like that Jing Qi Shen, which we talk about so much in our work. And it sort of just is missing completely from the Western model. It's like, oh, cool, you've got a tumor, we can cut it out or we can radiate you or chemo you, but that's pretty much it. It's like, well, why does this person have this thing? It's not like it's dropped in from outer space or something. Where did it come from? So I think that's a really interesting topic and I don't hear it addressed a lot. I guess there's pockets in Western medicine where people are interested in it, but not so much.
Well, fundamental problem with Western medicine, aside from emergency medicine, which is great and works, and I extrapolate that into any speciality that effectively does emergency. So emergency obstetrics is great. Emergency eye surgery is great. The reason I think that emergency Western medicine is so good, because effectively in an emergency, you get down to a reductionist level of my eye is about to lose all sight because there's been a bleed in the back of my eye, for instance. And if I get a laser in there and cauterize the blood vessel that's bleeding, it will stop bleeding. Yeah. And that will possibly save my eye. Now, why is that eye bleeding? Western medicine is very useless at, because that's a much more holistic question. But when it comes down to pure reductionism, it works very well, Western medicine. And the fundamental problem at the core of the Western medical model is there's no concept of qi. There's no concept of spirit, which qi and spirit are the same thing, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but the origin...
You talk about it in your book.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I'd love if you could drill down on that a bit, because qi is always, you Google it, I guess, and people get qi is energy. And I think that's such a vague definition for people. So do you have a sort of working definition at the moment that you're really loving, or is there something?
Yeah, I would call qi the organizing force of the body, best seen in the embryo. That's my working definition when it comes to sticking needles into people. It's kind of like a semi-mystical godlike quality. It's the life force. It's the same as the force in Star Wars.
We use that analogy a lot too. I just want to stop on that quickly. So when you say it's best seen in the embryo, because this is something I think is a really interesting and important thing, is embryologically, we're unfolding along the lines of this blueprint, which is quite magical, really, when you think about the fact that a sperm and egg a baby becomes a human. How does that know how to be that? And so that's the qi factor, right, is the capacity to know what to become. Are you agreeing with me?
Yeah, that's reasonable. I don't see the qi as it's able to take the instructions in the genetic code
So do you see that coming from Jing, or are you kind of...
Yeah, it's more Jing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What you become is more Jing, definitely. So the Qi is the energy that organizes things.
The activating force to sort of encode or decode that Jing blueprint, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You've got to have Qi, Jing, and Shen in order for a person to exist. You can't have Qi without Jing and Shen, and you can't have Shen without Jing and Qi. You've got to have all three of those things to create a person. So it's kind of difficult to describe one without the other two. Equally, Qi I see as the energy, it's the organizing force, the organizing energy that takes the Jing, the blueprint, and manifests that into matter. So one of the best descriptions I heard was from Twitter.
The wise place of Twitter.
Exactly, yeah. Well, it's like the group consciousness, isn't it?
The best and the worst of humanity.
And somebody came back and said, Qi is the... No, I've got to get this right. And I didn't get it right last time either.
Oh, it's high pressure, isn't it?
The
deep breath.
Energy by which matter manifests into form. I haven't quite got this right. He put it so brilliantly. I haven't quite got it right. But basically what he was saying is that matter, life is a great example. Yeah, you start off with a single cell and then suddenly, as you're going to find out, 9 months later, and it's not even 9 months, even by 12 weeks.
I'm 22 weeks.
Well,
there's a human in there. Yeah.
That basically a sperm and an egg combined, and then bang, you have a cell. And then somehow, magically, over the next 12 to 22 weeks, that cell just multiplied and made a baby. And it was the thing that allowed it to make that baby was organization. And that force was Qi. That's what Qi is. But it had to have the Jing of the genetic code in order to have the instruction manual to make the baby. And, if it had a different genetic instruction manual, it would make a baby mouse or baby chimpanzee or a baby whale or something like that.
It's still a possibility. We never know. That's been a few months.
That would be pretty amazing. It's the same Qi in a whale embryo. I really see it like some kind of electricity. Qi's analogous to electricity, but it's a life force electricity.